On a bright morning in the bustling forest, Laika the sparrow fluttered about, carrying twigs and bits of grass in her beak. She was on a mission to woo Hermine, the majestic and aloof owl. Laika believed that building the perfect nest would finally impress Hermine and win her heart. Hermine, perched high in the branches of an old oak tree, watched Laika's efforts with a mix of amusement and mild exasperation. She was more interested in a quiet nap than in the chaotic sparrow's antics. Meanwhile, Corinne, a screaming piha, was blissfully oblivious to the love-struck drama unfolding beneath her. She sang loudly, her ear-piercing calls echoing through the forest. "Scree!" she called, hopping from branch to branch, completely unaware of the havoc she was causing. Laika's attempts at building the nest were constantly interrupted by Corinne's calls. Every time Laika placed a new twig or piece of grass, Corinne's loud calls made her jump, causing her to drop her materials. "Can't you see I'm busy here?" Laika chirped irritably, but Corinne just continued her serenade, oblivious to the scolding. Determined to impress Hermine, Laika persevered, flying back and forth with more twigs, moss, and even a shiny piece of ribbon she found. She carefully arranged them, making what she thought would be the most beautiful nest ever. Hermine, however, remained unimpressed. She gave a slight hoot and closed her eyes, clearly uninterested in the sparrow's grand gestures. Frustration mounting, Laika decided to try a different tactic. She gathered a collection of shiny objects she thought Hermine might like. Bits of glass, colorful feathers, and even a discarded button. She proudly presented her gifts, chirping excitedly. "Look, Hermine, aren't these just beautiful?" Hermione opened one eye, glanced at the haphazard collection, and sighed. "Very nice, Laika," she said, not wanting to hurt the sparrow's feelings, but also not particularly impressed. Laika's patience finally snapped. In a fit of frustration, she began pecking and spurring at the nearly completed nest, scattering twigs and grass everywhere. "This is impossible," she chirped furiously. "What does it take to impress you?" Hermine, watching the sparrow's tantrum, couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for her. She hooted softly. "Laika, it's not about the nest or the gifts. It's about the thought and effort you put into it. I appreciate that, but I'm just not that easily impressed." As Laika sulked, Corinne landed nearby, still singing loudly. "Scree!" she called again, oblivious to the emotional turmoil around her. Laika glanced at her and couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. With a resigned sigh, Laika decided to take a break and enjoy the day. Maybe, she thought, just maybe, there was more to winning Hermione's heart than grand gestures and shiny objects. And as the forest buzzed with life, Laika the sparrow learned that sometimes the best way to impress someone was just to be herself.